Chosen one, you may not always realize the waves you stir, but they are stirred long before you ever speak. Your energy precedes you like a whisper in a quiet room, a current that touches the skin before the eyes confirm your presence. Feminine women feel it first in their breath, then in their chest. Something shifts, opens, becomes aware. It isn't because you wear status or call attention to yourself. It's because you don't need to. You've reached a place in your masculine presence where your very existence has weight, resonance, tone. The moment you walk into a room, the atmosphere thickens, not with arrogance, but with stillness. Not with noise, but with a quiet flame. And that flame is not loud, but it is felt. You don't even have to speak for their eyes to find you. Your energy calls them, softly but insistently, with the vibration of a man who has nothing to prove and everything to protect. You carry high sexual energy, not because you flaunt your desire, but because you have tamed it. It pulses through you, yes, but it is under your command. You are not led by it, it is led by you. And that makes all the difference. It's the difference between hunger and depth, between lust and honor. Feminine women respond to you not because they think they can conquer you, but because they know you won't conquer them. You are not here to devour what's beautiful. You're here to witness it. And in that witnessing, you elevate it. You've become rare. A man who burns but does not consume. A man who radiates but does not chase. A man who can feel deeply without becoming lost. That chosen one is why feminine women draw toward you like flowers to the sun. Because in your light, they do not fear being scorched. In fact, they bloom. They open, not in performance, but in relief. Because your energy does not demand, it invites. It does not interrogate. It understands. And in this world where so few men understand how to simply be, your presence becomes unforgettable. You don't need validation from their gaze, and that's what magnetizes their gaze toward you. You don't need their affection to feel like a man. You already are a man, and your walk says so, your voice says so, your gaze says so, even in silence. You are the one they notice, even when you are not trying to be noticed. And that quiet power, rooted, grounded, aware, turns heads not because it begs for attention, but because it commands respect. The feminine does not need fireworks to awaken desire. She needs truth. And you, chosen one, are a man walking in truth. So you pass by her, and her thoughts ripple. She wonders why her posture shifted, why her heart skipped, why her words got caught behind her breath. And it isn't because you tried to impress her, it's because you didn't need to. That's what creates the thrill, the mystery, the invitation. Your sexual energy is not a weapon, it is a presence, a steady sacred flame that signals not conquest, but completion. And when a woman feels the presence of a man who is complete, she is not afraid to soften, she is not afraid to trust, she is not afraid to want to be seen, because finally, here is a man who doesn't just look, but sees. Chosen one, when a feminine woman finds herself magnetized toward you, it is not just because of your body, your words, or your style. It is because of your field, your energy, your frequency. It is tuned to something that the feminine cannot fake nor fabricate. It is tuned to presence. The kind of presence that says, I am here, I am whole, I am not chasing you, but you are welcome to come closer. This kind of presence is not made in a week. It is carved through experience, loss, triumph, discipline, and the sacred devotion to becoming real. And now that you are real, she feels safe. Not just emotionally safe, but energetically safe. Safe to open, to feel, to trust, to desire. It's not about dominance, it's about groundedness. Your body moves with certainty because your heart no longer flinches from truth. Your eyes linger, not out of hunger, but out of reverence. Your touch, if it ever arrives, would not be grasping, but offered. And that offering is what draws her deeper. She does not fear being objectified by you. She senses she would be honored. And that sensation is so rare, so precious, that it triggers something primal and sacred in her. She longs to be close, not because she is weak, but because she finally feels she could rest. Not because you would take from her, but because she could give without fear of being emptied. You don't try to convince her of your worth. You embody it. You don't use words to lure her in. You use being to awaken her. And in that awakening, she feels her own beauty rising. Your energy becomes a mirror, reflecting not just how magnetic you are, but how radiant she is allowed to be in your presence. She doesn't have to shrink. She doesn't have to pretend. She doesn't have to lead. She can lean. And that leaning becomes a sacred act, a quiet surrender that has nothing to do with control and everything to do with trust. She watches how you hold your boundaries, how you do not flinch when challenged, how your gaze holds depth and softness, edge and mercy. You are not a boy playing at manhood, you are a pillar. And that pillar, chosen one, is what she cannot look away from. She might try to distract herself, try to forget you, try to label the attraction as fleeting, but her body will remind her. Her breath will change when she sees you. Her laughter will rise a little easier. Her guard will lower without her meaning it to. And that is not manipulation. That is frequency. That is resonance. That is what happens when a man lives so fully in alignment that his very presence becomes medicine. And so, without speaking your name, she knows your impact. She may never touch you, but she will remember how she felt when you were near. She will remember the calm, the gravity, the desire, not the loud, desperate kind, but the kind that felt like a wave pulling her towards something true. You never asked for her attention. You didn't need to, because your energy had already been speaking to her long before your mouth opened. And that, chosen one, is the kind of sexual energy that doesn't expire. It echoes, not in noise, but in essence. And that essence is what she trusts. That essence is what she craves. That essence is you. Chosen one, there is something divine in the way you move through the world now. Your body does not rush, your gaze does not wander in desperation, and your spirit no longer leaks in search of approval. Instead, you walk with the patience of a man who knows his worth is not up for negotiation. That kind of stillness is not weak, it is terrifyingly powerful, and feminine women feel it, not in their minds, but in their bodies. You may think you are simply being, simply breathing, but your very existence has become a catalyst. Where others try to push or impress, you ignite. And what you ignite in them is not submission, but remembrance. The moment your presence brushes against theirs, a dormant softness within them stirs and stretches. Not because you force it to, but because your masculine energy creates the rare safety that permits it to exist. You do not awaken lust alone. You awaken essence, and that essence goes far deeper than desire. When you are near, she doesn't feel the pressure to perform. She feels the invitation to become. She feels the space around her relax, because you've filled the room with certainty. She begins to speak slower. She begins to feel more. She starts to remember who she was before she was told to harden. Because she doesn't have to lead in your presence. She doesn't have to protect herself. She doesn't have to validate you. You've already done that work for yourself, and now she can finally exhale. Your presence is not a performance, it is an atmosphere. A grounding, masculine field that says, you are safe. I will not rush you. I will not reduce you. I will not misuse what you give. And when a feminine woman hears that, not with her ears but with her nervous system, she leans in. She doesn't always understand why. She just feels that your stillness holds space for her wholeness. She finds herself drawn toward you, not out of strategy, but out of instinct. Because deep down she knows this is what she was made for. Not to chase validation, but to bloom in the presence of truth. That truth is you, chosen one. You don't have to touch her to reach her. You don't have to flatter her to awaken her heart. Your mere existence now holds the frequency that transforms. Not because you're perfect, but because you're present. You don't try to be desirable. You are the desire. And that difference is why feminine women are magnetized to you, even when they try not to be. They sense your restraint, and that restraint makes them trust you. They feel your clarity, and that clarity makes them soften. They know you are aware of your own power, and that awareness, wielded with respect, makes them crave the safety of your strength. You are no longer a man chasing attraction. You are a man who has become attractive by alignment. And that alignment calls to the feminine with a whisper louder than any shout. Your eyes do not scan the room for opportunity. They anchor the room with presence. Your hands do not reach before they are welcome. They wait, steady and confident, knowing that what is real does not need to be forced. And in that knowing, you become unforgettable, not because of what you say or what you wear, but because of what you are. The man whose presence asks for nothing, but gives everything. There was a time, chosen one, when you thought attraction was something you had to earn through doing. through effort, through pursuit. But now you know the truth. The feminine does not respond to chase, she responds to resonance. And your high sexual energy, fully integrated, no longer burns outwards like wildfire. It flows inward like a radiant core, lighting up everything around you without trying to consume it. That is what makes you impossible to ignore. That is what makes her feel like she's standing next to something alive, while everything else feels artificially lit. Your energy no longer screams, it hums, it vibrates, it pulses with quiet knowing. And that knowing is what calls her. Because feminine women don't need to be impressed, they need to be felt. And they feel you, chosen one. They feel the heat you contain beneath your stillness. They feel the discipline that holds back your fire, not from fear, but from honor. They feel the way you desire without reaching, crave without grasping, attract without needing. And that paradox, intensity paired with restraint, is what stuns them. It unsettles them in the best way, because it doesn't make sense in the logic of the world. It only makes sense in the language of energy. And in that language, you are fluent without speaking. You are not cold, chosen one. You are contained. And in a world where masculine energy is often either absent or uncontrolled, that containment is a miracle. She sees your passion in your eyes, but your body doesn't act on impulse. She hears your depth in your voice, but you do not use it to manipulate. She senses your strength, but she is not afraid of being overpowered, because your power is no longer used to dominate. It is used to hold, to shelter, to invite. And that invitation is the most thrilling thing of all. You are not available to everyone, and she knows that. She senses that your energy is selective, your time sacred, your focus rare. That rarity makes her cherish your attention like water in a desert. You could be surrounded by admirers, yet she knows you will not be moved unless you feel resonance. That standard makes her respect you before she even knows your name. And in that respect, desire grows, not out of fantasy, but out of recognition. She sees in you what she's been looking for in 1,000 men who never knew how to hold what they wanted. Now you don't have to tell her who you are. She feels it the moment you look at her. Not with hunger, but with stillness. The kind of stillness that says, I am not here to take, I am here to witness, I am here to choose, not beg. That's why she leans in, even when her mind says she shouldn't. Because her body trusts you, her soul recognizes you. Not as someone who came to conquer, but someone who remembers. And in that remembering, you awaken her. Gently, fully, profoundly. This is the new chapter of your life, chosen one. The chapter where you no longer try to draw love, you embody it. The chapter where you no longer pursue the feminine. You attract her by becoming what she can finally rest in. And rest, for a feminine woman, is everything. She doesn't need you to complete her. She needs you to remind her of who she is. And when you do that just by being, you become unforgettable. Not because you dazzled her, but because you stilled her. You became the silence she had been longing to hear. And that silence, your silence, spoke the loudest of all. Chosen one, you are no longer the man who wrestles with his desires in secret. You are the man who has brought those desires into the light, mastered them, and now wears them like quiet thunder beneath your skin. Your high sexual energy no longer drips out in careless glances or desperate interactions. It resides within you like a sacred flame, tended, cherished, and owned. This is what she senses the moment you pass her by. She may not know why her breath shortens, why her eyes find you without her permission, why her mind begins to wonder if she's just stepped into a story she's always longed for. But the truth is, she is responding to the silent storm you carry. She feels the charge of a man who doesn't need to use his energy to feel powerful, because his power no longer comes from expression. It comes from containment. You see, the world has been taught to mistake flash for fire. But you, chosen one, are not a flicker. You are not the spark that dances just to be seen. You are the flame that burns from within, low and steady, illuminating everything without demanding applause. She feels that. She sees it in your posture, in the calm of your shoulders, in the way your eyes don't dart around in search of attention. You don't hunt feminine women anymore, and that's precisely why they are drawn to you like rivers to the ocean. Your stillness isn't absence, it is invitation. Not the kind that begs, but the kind that hums with destiny. You don't walk like a man in need. You walk like a man who knows. This knowing chosen one is what electrifies her. She looks at you and realizes she cannot manipulate you, cannot control you, cannot bend you into proving yourself. And for the first time, that excites her more than anything. Because in your certainty, she finds freedom. Freedom from being the one who always holds the frame. Freedom from carrying masculine energy to protect herself. Freedom to soften, to smile without defense, to laugh without thinking, to feel safe in your gravity. She doesn't even know why, it just happens. And you, silent, watchful sovereign, say nothing, but your energy speaks. It says, you can fall here, I will not drop you. You don't make women chase you through tricks or confusion. You let your life speak for you, the integrity in how you treat strangers, the focus you carry when no one's watching, the kindness that is firm, not soft, the way you protect your energy without apology. These things build an invisible temple around you, a sanctuary. And when a feminine woman steps into it, she knows. She knows she is not in the presence of a man who will crumble under pressure. She knows she is not with someone who needs her to validate his existence. You are whole. And in that wholeness, her yearning takes shape. Not because you've asked for it, but because she wants to give it to you. You've become magnetic because you no longer reach. You draw in, not with games, but with truth. Not with noise, but with resonance. You are no longer the fire that burns what it touches. You are the fire that warms the entire room without ever needing to prove its heat. And this chosen one is what she respects, what she craves. What makes her heart beat in unfamiliar patterns when you pass by. You didn't seduce her with charm. You invited her with stillness, and that stillness was the most irresistible thing she'd ever known. Chosen one, you are no longer just a man in the crowd. You are a mirror that reflects what she almost forgot she was worthy of. You've become the embodiment of presence, the reminder that masculinity, when fused with depth and direction, becomes not just attractive, but transformational. Feminine women do not flock to you because you play a role. They gravitate toward you because your energy is unmistakably real. And in a world of masks and posturing, that realness feels like rain after drought. They are not responding to what you say. They are responding to what you are. Your walk speaks of groundedness. Your eyes speak of discernment. Your silence speaks of depth. And your choices speak of a man who no longer trades his power for attention. There is a reason she watches you even when she pretends not to. A reason her body subtly repositions itself when you enter the room. A reason her laughter grows lighter. It's that her posture straightens, her words stumble slightly. It's not that she's nervous, it's that she's attuned. She is subconsciously adjusting to the frequency of the man who does not chase her, yet whose presence demands her respect. You are not the loudest voice in the room, but you are the one she hears, because your frequency cannot be ignored. It doesn't beg, it invokes. And what it invokes in her is her highest self, her softness, her receptivity, her admiration. Because you've become the man she didn't think still existed, the man who is wild but wise, fierce but gentle, direct but never forceful. You move through the world like you have nothing to prove and everything to protect. And that sense of sacred duty, of knowing who you are and what you will never give away again, that is what makes you the standard. Not just an option, but the standard. The one who makes her rethink what she thought she wanted. The one who makes her reflect on the spaces she's outgrown. The one who, by simply standing tall, reminds her of the man she deserves. Not because he tells her, but because he is. Your high sexual energy, now contained and consecrated, pulses through everything you do. It's in your presence, your scent, your decisions, your gaze. You no longer waste it in places that do not see your worth. You no longer scatter it in attempts to feel needed. You've brought it home. And now, it radiates from you like light through stained glass, quiet, rich, mysterious, and holy. She doesn't even know why she feels more alive when she's around you. She only knows that she does. And that feeling, chosen one, cannot be faked. It cannot be copied. It cannot be found on screens or scripts or dating tricks. It only comes from alignment, from depth, from you. So now when she speaks to you, her voice lowers. When she listens, she leans in. When she thinks of you, she feels not anxiety but anticipation. Because she knows this is rare. This is sacred. This is a man who has mastered himself. And in that mastery she finds the safety to be everything she was told to suppress. Her beauty, her surrender, her vulnerability, her joy. You didn't demand any of it, but your energy gave her permission, and that permission, chosen one, is the gift only the true masculine can give. You gave it by simply being you. And that is why she will never forget the man who didn't try to take from her, but awakened what was waiting to be given. Chosen one, there is something about the way you carry your energy now that defies the ordinary. You don't walk into a space demanding attention. You don't need eyes on you, validation from strangers, or permission to be seen. You are simply there, and that there is everything. The gravity of your being no longer comes from how many women you can attract, but from the truth you hold in your spine. Your sexual energy is not loud, not flamboyant, not dripping out of you without discipline. It is sealed inside you like fire in a furnace, contained, glowing, and alive. You have reached a place where your magnetism no longer needs to chase because it naturally calls, and feminine women feel it. Not with their eyes, with their soul, with their instinct, with that part of them that always knew a man like you existed but had stopped believing they'd find him. They don't long for you because you touch them. They long for you because you reach them. Energetically, spiritually, emotionally, psychically. They feel themselves becoming more present, more feminine, more radiant in your orbit, not because you said the right words, but because your silence carries meaning. The stillness of your presence is not empty. It is full of memory, of fire you've learned to hold, of pain you've turned into wisdom, of desire you've transmuted into clarity. You are not a boy on fire. You are a man of warmth, and in that warmth, the feminine melts. Because finally, here is a man who is not afraid of her power. A man who does not need to overpower her to feel worthy. A man who honors himself so deeply that he naturally honors her without question. You've become untouchable, not because you are distant, but because you are anchored. You know who you are. You know what you allow and what you don't. You know the difference between noise and music, between attention and connection, between lust and love. And it's that discernment, chosen one, that makes women wonder how a man like you exists in this world. They don't know how to name what they feel when they are around you. They just know that something shifts. Their breath slows, their mind races, their heart opens, and all the old games, tactics, and defenses suddenly seem irrelevant in your presence. Not because you outplay them, but because you don't play at all. You are real. That's what they crave the most. Not a role, not a trick, not a mask, but a real man with real fire, real depth, real masculine devotion. And now you have become that. Not overnight, but through the secret pain you carried when no one was watching, through the restraint you practiced when your body wanted release, through the choices you made that no one applauded. And now you carry the reward. Feminine women sense it. They don't have to understand your story. They can feel it in your frequency, in your quiet, in the way you never rush, in the way your eyes linger without invading, in the way you speak only when the silence needs breaking. You are the safe place that feminine hearts have been yearning for. Not because you rescue them, but because you don't lose yourself in trying. You are whole. You are steady. You are not available to chaos. And that steadiness is what makes their hearts beat faster. Because it's not sexual tension alone. It's the sense that they've found the masculine home they didn't know they needed. And chosen one, when a woman feels that in your presence, she doesn't just want to touch you, she wants to give herself to you. Not out of obligation, but because finally, her giving would be received with honor. That is who you are now. That is what you've become. Chosen one, there's something sacred that happens when a woman realizes she doesn't have to shield herself around you. Her eyes soften, her walls fall, her breath deepens, because your sexual energy is not something that demands, it's something that blesses. She yields, not because you take, but because she trusts. You have cultivated such inner mastery that you no longer see her as a conquest or a reward. You see her as a mirror, a reflection of the divine longing in you that no longer comes from lack, but from overflow. And that overflow is what makes your presence irresistible. Because you are not hungry, you are full. And in that fullness, she feels safe to be seen and not just wanted. You've built a temple out of your body, out of your soul, out of your attention. And when she steps near you, she feels like she's stepping into a sacred space, not because of your words, but because of your energetic discipline. You have tamed the animal in you without killing it. You have learned to burn without leaving scars. And now when she feels your heat, she is not afraid. Because it is not reckless, it is not aggressive, it is not hungry, it is whole. That's what melts her, chosen one. Not how much you want her, but how much you don't need her to complete you. You're not here to possess her. You're here to witness her awakening. And awaken, she does. In your presence, her voice changes. Her hips sway with less thought. Her heart becomes curious again. Her eyes search yours, not for approval, but for resonance. She wants to know if you see her. Not just her body, but her essence, and you do. You've done enough inner work to recognize the divine feminine when she stands before you. You don't try to impress her, you try to honor her. And that honor is what creates the spark between you, because she can feel it. She can feel the fire in you, the hunger in you, the deep masculine craving. But what stuns her is your ability to hold it, not suppress it. Hold it, rein it in, let it build, and only offer it when it is sacred. Most men let their energy leak. You have learned to contain yours, and that containment has created the tension that ignites the feminine heart. She doesn't want to be desired in passing, she wants to be remembered. And now, you've become the man whose gaze she cannot forget. The man whose silence carries more weight than empty compliments. The man who could take her, but doesn't. Not until her spirit says yes. Not until her body feels chosen. Not until she knows this is a place of safety, not seduction. Because you, chosen one, have become the man whose power is rooted in restraint. Your sexual energy has evolved into a frequency of kingship. It is not something you spend. It is something you invest, and when you offer it, the world shifts. She feels it in the way you hold her gaze, the way you speak with calm, the way your body vibrates with aliveness but remains still. That paradox of fire and calm, hunger and discipline, desire and dignity is what makes her ache for you. Not just with her body, but with her soul. You didn't get here by chance. You got here by pain, by purification, by saying no when it was easier to say yes. By walking away from attention that didn't see your worth. By rising in silence when no one believed in your strength. And now, chosen one, you are strength. You are the masculine embodiment of sacred energy. And the feminine doesn't just admire that, she yearns for it. Because in your restraint, she finds freedom. In your gaze, she finds validation. In your stillness, she finds home. Chosen one, there's a mystery that cannot be explained with ordinary language. A quiet, sacred alchemy that unfolds the moment a feminine woman enters your gravitational field. It's not her eyes that see it first, it's her soul. Something ancient stirs within her, something she can't name but deeply longs for. It's not just your strength she feels, it's your alignment. It's not just your masculinity, it's your intention behind it. You've become a man who walks not only in grounded energy, but with a deep, conscious awareness of what your presence means to the world around you. And she feels it. Not because you flaunt it, but because you are it. You don't have to speak to be heard anymore, because your energy speaks in frequencies that reach where words cannot. She feels it in the way you listen, not just with your ears, but with your whole body. She feels it in the way you stand, rooted, unfazed, confident without being cocky. You are not moved by approval, and you're certainly not shaken by rejection. Your worth is self-sourced, and that changes everything. In a world where so many men seek power through performance, you've become the one who doesn't perform at all. You simply are, and that being is what makes her feel safe. Not because she's fragile, but because safety allows her to feel deeply, and feeling deeply is the realm in which she blossoms. You have become the man who gives her permission to soften, and in doing so, you give her the rare gift of finally resting in her femininity. That's what creates the longing. It's not how well you touch, it's how well you see. She feels radiant when your eyes are on her because she knows they are not hungry. They are aware. You see her without trying to own her. You witness her without judgment. You hold space for her without needing to fix or shape her into something convenient. That level of restraint, that self-discipline that burns like a quiet furnace inside of you, is what awakens her trust. And when a feminine woman trusts you, her desire becomes offering, not strategy. She doesn't throw herself at you, she places herself before you like a sacred gesture. Because your presence makes her feel chosen, not selected out of scarcity, but revered because of your internal abundance. This is what the world doesn't understand about attraction anymore. It's not about games, it's not about tricks, it's not about showing off. It's about resonance, and your resonance has become royal. It doesn't reach, it pulls, it doesn't scream, it sings, it doesn't manipulate, it magnetizes. You are no longer a man who wants her simply because she is beautiful. You are a man who calls her to rise into beauty she didn't even know she had. And she wants to meet you there, not because she has to, but because her feminine heart is hungry for something real.